G'day prospectors, Tony from Gold Talk, Leonora again on a beautiful Sunday morning. Getting below 40s now, so life's getting a little bit more bearable, shall we say. So one of the things you'll notice about Lisa and myself is that we very rarely show gold. It's we leave that out to the new chums to show off their massive gold nuggets and things. We generally don't, but there are times when we don't have to, but we choose to because it's part of the process of being a prospector. Prospecting for gold, mining for gold is that's our income. That's our main trade. We have our side hustles, but for us, it's all about the gold that we get. And so what we have to do is send that off to market through to the Perth Mint, who's the main refiner that we deal with. And what we never do is send away gold nuggets or scrap gold, as we indelicately put it. We'll always sort of melt it into a doré bar, and there's a big difference between smelting and melting. Melting is just where we melt something and consolidate it into a blob, which is fine, and smelting is when by using some chemicals, what we call fluxes, we're able to remove some of the impurities. I don't take it to 999 pure via cupelling method and scavenger metals and things. I don't need to. The whole point about what we do when we just smelt it into a bar is reducing some of the purities, but what we wind up doing is having one bar that goes to market rather than tens of thousands of little bits of gold that can go missing. Even though we trust our refiners, it's the last thing you want to do is be sending smalls away. So what we have here, and I'll swing Stephen around, is we've got here about oopsie daisies. That's about where we're going to put the dish, and in there we've got about just under a kilo. And most of that's come out of the dry blower. You can see the blacks there, which we can get a bit cleaner than that, but there's no point to it. We just burn it out in the furnace. It saves a lot of time and a lot of mucking around there. You can see the sort of the size of the gold that tiny catches, and that's right down to just barely detectable with the human eye. And some of the bigger bits there will probably be from Lisa, with her dipping around the floor. Either way, it makes a nice little parcel to send away and pay our tax bills and buy more fuel and do the other shit we need to do to keep the wheels in motion. So what I'm going to do is I've set up a little bit, and I'll just be using the homemade furnace here, which we have for, I don't know, I might have built this thing about 15 years ago out of bits from the Leonora rubbish dump, and it works a treat. So what I will say is that it's I've been having a little bit of trouble getting it up to heat, just because the firing port's become a little bit blocked, and what I need to do is chip all this refractory cement out, get the few ounces that's probably in there over the years, and then reline it with more refractory cement and just sort of reshape that firing port to make it a little bit better. So wherever possible, we sort of make things ourselves. It's sort of I just like that part of the process. We just run it off LPG gas, and in a little bit when we get this going, it's a warm day today. What you're going to see me doing possibly or probably is sitting the gas bottle in a bucket of water, and that'll allow the temperature in the bottle to come down again and build up its pressure. So I think they call that Boyle's law in physics. So I don't know, someone out there is a hell of a lot smarter than me and they'll be able to tell us. There's only a few fluxes that we use, and I'm actually not going to be using a heck of a lot of it. Potassium nitrate, that's basically going to be what we call niter. That's apart from making bombs with diesel, it's good for getting rid of your iron content in your charge. Right, so all those black sands will basically there'll be a chemical reaction with that stuff. There'll be some other stuff which I'll get out of the shed called soda ash, which I'll put in there. That'll get rid of a lot of your salacious materials. And then borax is your main workhorse. And borax is your agent, which in my tiny little brain, it acts like a vacuum cleaner, and it'll suck up all the impurities and other bits and pieces of crap in there. Like I said, the objective is just to get a pour, get a doré bar. It's not to bring it up to a refined product of 999 pure. Don't need to do that. That's the refinery's job. But we generally get it up to around 96, something around there, 94, 95s. And that's more than enough. Then the difference between the incoming weight of the charge, of the doré bar when it goes to a refining, the difference between the incoming weight of the gold bar and the refining weight is going to be about 2%. What you'll notice today is 30 ounces, and we'll weigh it up. I would expect to at least lose 2 ounces out of this, probably 3, 10% at least in the burn off, and that's just all the crap and dirt and stuff that's on gold nuggets. It does not matter how pure they are. It doesn't matter whether they've been soaked in acid. It's irrelevant. They'll all be full of shit, and losing at least 10 to 15% is probably about right. I've had it up to 20% when there's been a lot of ironstone in there as well. So anyway, we've got our coffee. We've got a couple of crucibles which we'll use. We've got our mould. I use steel moulds rather than those sort of cheap Chinese ones, because we go through a little bit of them. And what I've just done is I've made up a mould dressing, and what we have in here is a crushed up crucible, and we mix that with a little bit of kerosene. Okay, and we just single-handedly we dress the mould. So it's called a mould dressing or a release agent. And the idea is, so basically we have crushed up graphite from an old crucible. Recycling, that's what it's all about. Okay, and so the idea of it is when we pour the charge in, the molten metal, the fluxes will hit first, but even though we preheat the mould, we only preheat the mould so that we get any moisture content out of it. That's the main reason for doing it. But we can wind up with a superheated spot of wherever the charge pours, and that can impregnate into the mould itself. So the release agent helps spread that load, and also then it acts as that releasing agent when you're flipping the bar out. So we'll I'll set you up over on the Gemini table over there where we clean the gold up, and we'll probably go on to fast motion and maybe even some zippy little music to do it. And what I'll do is I'll leave you guys to place bets to see if Tony can blow himself up. It's always a possibility, but there's got to be a little bit of excitement in life, otherwise she all gets a bit too tedious. So we'll arc up and fire away. Right. Jump, 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 jump. Alrighty. So, what we have done is make a big old mess, but normally what I'd do, and that's what I was sort of preparing to do, is to, because the gold is at the bottom, and the slag, which was some of the fluxes I added, not that I added too many this time, that's at the top. And what I'd normally do is pour the fluxes off over here, and then get straight into the actual pour itself. What you'll find is the charge itself is glowing orange, but the gold is yellow, so it's a different kind of yellowy orange, and you can easily sort of see when the gold is about to come out. But this time what I've done is I've just chucked the flux, the slag straight onto the deck, and in a little bit I'll tip her out and we'll see what sort of gold we've got. The thing with the slag is that it's really common that you'll bugger up the pour and there'll be a few little dots and bits and sometimes lots, in the slag, and that's the indication you've had a bad pour. But what we do is it's just like a glass, and at the end of the season we'll chuck all the slag into a dolly pot, smack it up into powder, pan it off, get the little bits of gold out, and that goes into another charge down the track. That crucible, graphite crucibles, I think it's still got a little bit of life left in it. You'll find that the potassium nitrate, the niter, with the chemical reaction that creates, it eats the graphite away. So when you're using the niter, it's got a sort of, it limits the lifespan of a graphite pot. But they're all basically, you might get 10, sometimes 15 pours out of them, something like that, before you crush them up. Get any gold that's in there out, and then if you need to, you've got some fines that you can use for your releasing agent down the track. We'll just give that a go. I reckon that'll probably be about right, and we'll see what kind of a mess we've made. It could be a total balls up. It often is, but such is life. And what you would have seen me do is using this, it's a carbon stick, a carbon stirring rod, and what I'm doing there is I'm checking the charge out for one thing, to see whether it's liquid or what's going on. But more importantly is that gold has a melting point, whatever it is, 1030 or something in Celsius, but the temperature inside the middle of the charge is going to be different than the temperature outside the charge. So once it does start melting, when it sort of gets up about I think the fluxes start melting around 760 degrees Celsius. Once things start melting, I try and bash it up and stir it around, and this presents the, if you like, the colder areas to the heat, and it just melts down evenly and quite quickly. Then it becomes a time when it can feel a bit sticky, and then all of a sudden it goes into a nice sort of pea soup consistency, and you can scrape the bottom of the crucible, and it's just scrumdiddly-umptious, and that's when she's ready to do its magic. So we'll just sort of see what. Ooh. Well, that looks all right, doesn't it? So we'll, what do we do now? We'll see if we can chuck this in a bit of water and see what we're dealing with. Normally I just let it cool down, but it's more fun to have a bo peep. Oop. So we'll chuck her over here and let it do its thing. We'll set you back up over here. And we'll get the slag off. I've known a few slags in my time. Ooh, yeah. So that's nice. You can see there she's got a good hefty weight to it. So I can hit that now with a wire brush and make it all pretty. And then tomorrow that will go away to market. Basically what I do now is that's how it was poured. Whoopsies, down here, so that's how it was poured. And what I'll do is the bottom of the Doré bar as it was poured, I'll take a drill bit, a little 2mm drill bit, take a bit of swath out of that, and that gives me something that if the refinery came back and said, oh, you've only got 70%, I keep a little bit of this so that I can argue the case if I need to. So yeah, a wire brush and get all that black shit off there. We'll weigh her up, but I can sort of feel there, I think we actually haven't lost too much. We've done a little bit better than I'd normally expect. Because yeah, there'd have to be 30 ounces here for sure. Anyway, prospectors, this is what keeps us fed, and obviously it's working. So we thought we'd show you that. And that's the results of lots of early mornings and lots of hard work. Always like seeing the pour, and I hope you've enjoyed it. See you, prospectors. Yum 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 yum. Gold finger. See ya.